doing?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all good. How are you?
Yeah, good. It's good to see you. Been a
Yeah, nice to
while.
see you. Under strange conditions, obviously, but it is really nice to see you. We haven't. I can't remember when was the last time we saw each other. Was it the
Must have been a
football tournament, right?
football tournament. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We won't talk
Oh,
about
beauty.
who won that game though.
We were, more importantly, we weren't talking about who lost and who got kicked out in the first round. Those guys
Good.
from those. Yeah, it was good. Really good.
That's great. Cool. Well, no, great to have you here today. Welcome to HIREside Chats. Let's start with, if you wouldn't mind just telling us who you are and a little bit about your journey to date, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Rob Marsh. I live in East London in Forest Gate with my girlfriend Hannah and our two kittens. I'm from Tamworth originally, which is a kind of I guess it's a medium-sized sort of town just north of Birmingham, which explains my sort of slight Midlands drawl that you're probably picking up on. Um, I work for a tech and employee engagement company called Reward Gateway. So Reward Gateway works with about 1,800 clients globally. We help them to connect with their employees and help them reward and motivate their employees through a range of digital products. But my role is community innovation lead. So that's a really weird job title, I know, but essentially I look after our social value strategy, which means that I explore different opportunities and ways that we as a business can sort of have, a positive impact on the communities where we work and also on the environment as well. So, for example, I manage our grant giving foundation and look after like employee volunteering and how we support charities that we work with, basically. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool job to have. How did I get there? It's been a really weird sort of journey for me career-wise. Like I studied business at uni. I always wanted to set up my own business, which is why I went down that path. And then when I left, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any money to start my own business or any sort of like brainwave ideas at the time. So I just kind of went on a strange path. I've done a range of different jobs. I've done things. I've worked on farms. I've worked in factories. I've worked in call centers. I've worked as a chef. So I guess what got me to here was when I moved to London. At the time, I was a chef when I moved to London. I think that was 2012. And I just saw this job come up on Total Jobs, which was for a startup, and it was a startup that was basically it was a piece of tech that was designed to help workforces and employees to kind of become more environmentally aware and sort of more have a like reduce the overall business's impact through their actions, basically. So that sounded really interesting to me, and thought that was something that I could kind of get stuck into and certainly use some of the skills that I picked up from uni, because it was like a brand new startup that was actually sat in the structure of Reward Gateway, where I work now. And that's kind of how I ended up going into the business. So I was the first employee, the only employee working along with the managing director. And we were just kind of, basically we had this product and we were trying to work out like a sales strategy and how we could get it to market. And then unfortunately it didn't work out. It was like right at the time of the last recession. So it wasn't necessarily the right time for a lot of companies to be investing in CSR and stuff like that. So the business shut it down. Reward Gateway shut down that sort of project, and then brought me into the kind of main business. So I worked as a salesperson for maybe 5 years. So sort of like worked in the small business team, working with small businesses across the UK, helping them to kind of put together solutions for their people, which was great. Learned an awful lot from that role. And then I left the business in 2015, and my partner and I were really fortunate to do some traveling and stuff. And we basically ended up, after our travel, so throughout our travels, we set up a social enterprise, which I still run as a side project. That's the first business I've set up. It's called Wynad Clothing. So we're running that now still. We make like sustainable fashion with a bunch of amazing suppliers in India, and then we sell those clothes globally actually now. So we have like all our stock with us here, and we send out orders from our flat. And then also when we finished our travels, Glenn Elliott, who was the founder of Reward Gateway, got in touch with me when we were in Australia actually, and said, I'm setting up this new foundation as part of the business. It's a brand new project. You know, would you like to kind of come back in and help us set it up? So that's what brought me back to the UK and back into Reward Gateway, I guess, and into this sort of new role that I'm doing now. Yeah, which that's a weird, like, convoluted journey. But yeah, that's it.
That's really cool. And I mean, I guess with, you know, the new generation, Gen Z, coming into the workplace, who, you know, choose to work for companies who do focus more on the environment, do you think more companies are now taking that into account?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly were doing kind of pre-coronavirus. Obviously it's a mad time now for a host of different reasons. But I did a presentation actually to our staff internally in January, like our global workforce, just explaining some of the kind of theories behind corporate social responsibility and why businesses, like, if you're doing it well anyway, and if you're doing it properly, like what the benefits are to you. And actually I think it's about 75% of young people that are coming through now, coming into the workforce, are actively looking for those businesses that have at least some sort of strategy or some kind of positive, like, impact on the environment. You know, I think that's a reflection of the times. You know, younger people are perhaps more connected than they've ever, well, they definitely are more connected than they ever have been. So maybe they're a bit more aware of the global issues, and certainly climate change is one of the biggest global issues that we face right now. So I guess, you know, they want to be part of the solution. They want to be part of progressive businesses that are having a positive impact, so that they can be proud to work there. You know, it kind of makes sense to me.
No, yeah, that's great. And so what's the actual main difference between Reward Gateway and RG Foundation? Because they're both linked, aren't they?
Yeah, they're linked, I guess. So Reward Gateway is the business, and RG Foundation is it's a grant-giving foundation that was set up by our founder, so Glenn Elliott. When he stepped away from the business, it's almost like a kind of leaving present, really. So it's his kind of private fund. It's a fund essentially, but the foundation supports charities, individuals, organizations around the world. Well, when I say around the world, its focus is on the 4 countries where Reward Gateway operates. So you've got the UK, Australia, Bulgaria, and the US. And the foundation gives out grants to like people in those countries that are doing amazing work, very often with extremely vulnerable communities. But it's got to be work that's related to our mission, which is all about making the world a better place to work, right? So all of these organizations that we're supporting, or the foundation supporting, are doing stuff with people that is to do with, like, the world of work. So whether it's getting people back into work, improving people's skills, education, all sorts of stuff like that, basically. And the other link, I guess, is that so it's a closed application process to apply for funding, because it's not a huge foundation on the scale of things. But what we do is we open up these funding windows. Last year we had 2, this year we've had 1 so far. And every time there's a funding window, Reward Gateway employees get the opportunity to nominate charities or organizations to receive funding. And once a nomination comes through, as long as it's aligned with the objectives of the charity, then that organization is welcome to submit an application. And then we get this, like, chunk of applications come through, and our trustees ultimately make the final decision on where the funding goes and who gets awarded grants. So there's a real nice link between Reward Gateway people. It gives our people the opportunity to, you know, to really put forward organizations that they might be connected with, or just they think are doing amazing work and they want to support. And it's really, really, I guess it's just another kind of link between the mission of the business as well. So it kind of it's very much going into a deeper level, sort of with regards to the mission. In that sense,
Yeah, it's a brilliant mission to make the world a better place.
I know. Yeah. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Exactly. So what's your purpose?
It's a tricky one. I think I'm still working out, to be honest with you. It sounds very cheesy and a bit cliche, but I genuinely I get a lot out of helping other people. I ever since I was younger, I can always just remember wanting to do things that I saw as being like, I guess, like having a positive impact on the world. That's the sort of broad way to say it. But at the same time as that, I want to create things as well. Like I love to I love the kind of creative side of what I do, and I've always been attracted by things where you can like new ideas and new projects, and working with other people to come up with something like really interesting and exciting. That gets me going, and I guess those two things combined, that's why when if I look at the business that we've set up, it's a business, it's a social enterprise, but we're there to also turn a profit, hopefully at some point. But we wanted to do it with a sort of like a social mission as well. Those things really get me excited.
Yeah. I'd say you're a bit of a social entrepreneur, right?
That's what. I'd say so too. Yeah.
And obviously, people at home at the moment, I think it's given people time to reflect and potentially set up their own online businesses. What advice would you give someone that's wanting to do that?
Oh, don't start a clothing company. No, I don't know. I think one of the things I learned from YNAD, it's a great, it's been an amazing experience, and it's a great sort of journey we've been on it with, and I am really proud of where we've got to with it. But my advice is to do something that you kind of know about. I know that sounds really basic, but I think we just sort of fell into YNAD clothing. Hannah and I, my partner and I, neither of us have any sort of clothing background or manufacturing or anything like that that's kind of relatable to what we're doing with it. So we really had to learn on the spot, and we spent a year in India, and that year was it was a privilege, obviously, to be able to do that, but it was such a big learning for us, and we started from ground zero, So if you're thinking of starting a business, again, it sounds basic, but go with what go with the thing that you're already good at, and then build out from there. So I think if I start something else in the future, I think that's the road I'll go down, probably.
What would you start if you're going to start something in the future?
Ooh, good question. I think I've been thinking, the sort of stuff I'm doing, the work I'm doing now is, I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot about it, and it's stuff that I've been doing now in some way, shape or form for quite a few years. So it could perhaps be something to do with that, helping other businesses in their own journey of sustainability or CSR and things like that. I think that might be something I could look at in the future for sure.
That's great. And kind of along the way to get you where you are today, who's inspired you along the way?
My family are a massive inspiration. I'm really lucky to have a awesome family. We're very close, not physically close at the moment, but we keep in touch a lot. My sister, so I've got an older brother, younger sister, mum and dad, and my partner Hannah as well. And my younger sister, she gave birth last week, so
congratulations. Thanks,
man. Yeah, so she's that's the first baby in our sort of in my immediate family. So it's a weird time to do that, obviously. But she went through it. So she went through 8 hours of labour with no sort of pain relief. She did like a hypnobirth, you know. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I don't
she
actually.
basically, I know I'd never heard of it either, but she went into like
A man thing, I think.
she went into like a almost like a trance state apparently, and then like repeating this mantra over and again. It's like a meditative thing.
Okay.
So that to me is just very inspirational.
Yeah,
But aside, my partner Hannah, she's probably she's probably the strongest person I know actually. I mean, she's a yoga and dance teacher. She's a freelancer, so she's been hit really hard by the lockdown. But she's just like seeing her teach. She's just one of those people that was born to do it, you know. And she's got this amazing skill of being able to capture a room, and her passion for dance and movement in general, just like she's a massive inspiration for sure. In the professional world, I guess like Glenn Elliott, so the founder of Reward Gateway, was a massive inspiration, and still is. Like, we're still in contact, and obviously through the foundation. Not as much anymore as when he was CEO of RG, but he is one of those sort of archetypal tech entrepreneurs. You know, he was he really knew how to kind of, and does know how to sort of I guess motivate and bring everyone on this journey with him, you know. And that certainly in the early days, it was my first sort of real career move, going to this business, and that was a big inspiration to me for sure.
What was he able to teach you?
What was he able to teach me? I think he was able to teach us like all sorts. I think a big thing was to be not to be afraid of failure, and certainly in an environment in a tech company. Although I'm not a developer, I think just the idea of you know, trying new things and not being scared to have a go at stuff. Just like use your initiative. We trust you. Get out there, have a crack at it. If it doesn't work out, don't worry, just learn from it. You know, I think that was a really big lesson. And actually, I think the emphasis and the focus on the culture of the business is just something I've not experienced in any other place I've worked. So, you know, it's a really great business to work for now. It's a different business. Like, I mean, we're talking sort of like 4 years on from when Glenn left, and it's a slightly different business now, but in a good way. Like, it's still a really great business to work for.
Yeah.
But I think just seeing the way that his whole philosophy around like engaging our own people was just really cool to see.
Yeah. And obviously with tech, you know, almost taking over the world recently, how do you think employers will use it more now?
That's a really good question. Well, so if I look at our client base and the way that a lot of our employers that we work with are just using the tech that we have, we've seen like a massive kind of upswing in the amount of employers that are using the sort of the more kind of communications focused products that we have. You know, they're using the platforms that we create now as a vehicle, more and more so as a vehicle, just to kind of stay connected with people. And because the landscape is changing so quickly as well, like lockdown rules have just been eased, which is a bit confusing. And how do we do this? Like, how do we keep our employees involved? Like, what do we do? So many of them now are just kind of over, like, front pages of our platforms. It's just information about, you know, what this means to you. We're here for you as well, you know, which is, I think that's the overriding thing that employers now, and there's a webinar that we did with a few clients the other day where and we had like a range of HR, maybe like about 700 HR people from around the UK were involved, and we took a poll on like the focus areas for people at the moment. And I think a little surprisingly, the biggest thing that came out was the most important thing that they're focusing on is the culture and the well-being of their staff. You know, it's not like, yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound quite so surprising now to say it, but it's nice to hear that. You know, it's nice that people are concerned about holding on to their culture, and for so many people, like being in a physical space defines their culture in a lot of ways. You know, if you're not in a tech company and you don't have, like, we're very, very privileged that we're able to kind of keep the wheels going, at least for now. Yeah. But if you're in a business where it's all about making something physically or servicing people physically, you know, how do you kind of keep that culture together as well as somehow keep your business moving? You know, it's definitely going to be a challenging time for a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. And how have you been keeping yourself busy?
Oh God, I think I've dried up Netflix and
yeah,
Prime, and
likewise.
There's nothing left. I've got nothing left. What have I been doing apart from watching TV? I'm very, very fortunate. So we moved to this flat just before Christmas last year.
Yeah.
And we've got a garden, which is in London is a luxury, I think, that so many people don't have. So really fortunate to have that. So I've been doing a lot of gardening. I'm not very good at it, it turns out. Like, nothing that I plant grows. And then I still, like I mentioned, that I was a chef for a little while, and I love cooking. So I've been doing a lot of cooking and trying new things. I don't know if have you ever had a masala dosa before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, like South Indian, like a South Indian big breakfast sort of like pancake with.
I actually had it in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, they do them. Yeah. So it's similar. Yeah. So that's one of my favourite foods, not just breakfast foods. And there's a bit of a process to making them because they look like pancakes, but they're made from like rice flour, fermented rice flour, and you know it takes some time. So I've been figuring out how to make those. Which has been cool. But yeah, I guess, and I like trying to keep up with exercise as well. That's a big thing for my mental health, for sure.
That's great. And obviously, outside of the pandemic, have you got a 5-year plan, or you know anything you want to achieve in the next few years?
Oh, that's a really good question as well. 5-year plan. I don't know if I do. I think I want to sort of really understand a lot more, like feel like I understand a lot more about the role that I'm doing now. I'm quite new to it, like as having like an official title that focuses on sort of CSR and social value. So I started it officially last October, and I really want to feel like I'm grounded with it. Sort of, certainly in like 5 years' time, I'd like to, and I'd love it if Wynad was in a place where, you know, we were kind of ticking that business over as well. But I guess personally, I'd like to maybe 5 years' time start a family, get that first little person in the picture, and that obviously changes everything, right? So if that happens, then who knows? But yeah,
Rob, it's been amazing speaking to you, and certainly it sounds like you're doing an awesome job, making the world a better place and making an impact on people's lives. So top job. Should be proud of yourself.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure. It's really nice to chat to you as well. Like, yeah, thanks for setting this up.
Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch very soon. We'll see you soon.
Cool. All right.
Good man.
Cheers, Ollie.
Catch you later. Cheers.
Bye-bye.